So Steve, for the past couple of years, you've been having some particularly challenging situations, and I was wondering how you see that unfolding, what your plans for the future are as you continue on your journey.
Well, thank you, Gary and Valerie, for having me on your channel and your show, and I'm glad I could share some of my challenges and some of my triumphs with this raw food world, like this crazy food of raw food. Who eats raw, right? Well, people who are in touch with health, there's a growing number of us who are now eating more natural foods in their natural state. And we are experiencing this thing that eludes so many people called health and wellness and vitality, and most everybody are experiencing one of the 20 to 30,000 names in the American Medical Association for disease or illness, and that is their normal. And we've learned that normal is not natural, and those are two different things. And so we're here at the International School of Detoxification with Dr. Robert Morse, and there is a growing number of us that have this awareness now of what true health is and how to get the body to come back and heal itself. So with that in mind, I learned about this about 10 years ago, and I was gung-ho for it. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And after about a few years, maybe 5 years or so, I decided to be all in on a project, opening up a juice bar, putting everything into it, and lining up with a couple partners who helped start this off, and we did incredible, and had lines out the door, profitable month 2, just a crazy energy. And after about a couple months, they started to have a little bit different ideas of what they wanted to do. They did not want to stick with what was working. They had their own ideas. And so with that, I had a little bit of a back and forth struggle with them and a challenge, and it was just like, okay. And it turned out that we ended up separating ways, and that didn't work out. But having put everything all my money into this, being fully on, and that's how I roll. Like when I do things, it's like there's no like halfway about anything. I do it or I don't, and I'm a big promoter of that. So I have no regret that I put everything in, and that I became homeless and had $5.86 to my name, and lost friends who when I had money, I had many friends. And I got to a point where I got to see who my real friends are, and who really was there for me, and who wasn't so much there for what they could get out of me. And I got to learn that because I come at this as almost like a little boy. Like I get excited, like Dr. Morse. He's almost like Willy Wonka or something. He's just like the magic of like, hey, this is how we can be happy, but now instead of the chocolate and the candy, we're now with nature's candy. And I got so excited about it, and I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. And I have a very trusting spirit about me, where I just want to trust and trust others and believe that they have the same kind of intentions as I do. And I got to see that people have different intentions. And so some of the things I've learned is, one, the power of discernment, and to discern a little bit more about, like, should I go left or should I go right? Should I align with this person or that? Because my first instinct is like, yes, let's do it. If someone comes to me and they're like, yes, I'm like, okay, let's go. And then I get to see that sometimes people have other motives. Another lesson I've learned, really important for you guys out there, always good to read a contract before you sign it. One of those kinds of things. And so I go into this kind of like with a big heart, and we talk a lot about like losing the mind and coming into our heart space as like really healthy, but I could have like kept a little bit more of my mind and a little discernment in some things, and so I don't regret it. because it got me to a place where I learned self-reliance and God reliance instead of other people reliance. And that really helped me a lot. And so I started to get to a point where, okay, it's time to like start this up again. And I'm on my way right now. I feel I'm coming back. All bills haven't been paid, but they're getting paid. And I'm getting the swing of it, and energy's coming my way, and gigs are coming my way. I'm a holistic health coach and a detoxification specialist and a raw food chef. So I make food for people, and some of these people have a lot of either money and or influence. And this gets to spread this message of what Dr. Morse is teaching, that because I'm making food that's living, that's enzymatically rich and nutrient dense and hydrating. And this is a big deal because a lot of people are eating dehydrating food and non-living food, and that food that does not work for us. And this is the food that most people are eating. And we could talk about the 4 food groups, and milk does a body good. And then we come to Dr. Morse's class and we learn that milk may be like an incredible thing to have, maybe one of the healthiest things on planet Earth, if it's from your own mother and when you're a baby, just like all the other species on planet Earth. And so when we start to learn things that are like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and we start to go, and then we keep getting it, and then we go back to the other world and we're like, no, you need the milk. No, you need the meat. Oh, you know why you need those things? Because you need more protein. And we talked about, Dr. Morse was talking about in the class yesterday, there's like protein is like the #1 killer. And as like human beings, we can't even use protein at all anyway. I love saying that because people are like, what? Until they're broken down into amino acids. And then we could use them. And so we learn to go straight to the source of first-hand protein, which are amino acids, which are the plant world, fruits and vegetables. And this is where like most humans, when they say, I'm getting my protein, what they're getting is second-hand protein. They're getting the protein that had to eat the first-hand protein to live, and they're eating the greens and they're eating the real protein, and we get the second-hand, which is a dead animal and or their excretions. And when we get it, when we see that, now we're again back to reality, and we say, oh yeah, it's actually a dead animal. It's like, oh yeah, animals have consciousness, and animals like have intelligence, and animals feel. And then we start to come into our heart space and say, well, we don't want to cause that kind of harm to another sentient being. And then we start to realize that now we are coming into becoming more ourselves. We become more of who we really are. And then we have this thing again, like I mentioned earlier, called health. And like, what is health? Like, well, the American Medical Association describes health as the absence of disease. And okay, it's like, okay, I'll have nothing bad in my life. Like, how would you like that? Have nothing bad in your life and that's it? Okay, that's pretty cool. But how about instead of not having anything bad in your life, what about having all this good in your life? You know, it's like a 0. Like if you're at -100, you're like at poor health. But 0 would be health because you don't have any of those illnesses, any perceived. And they call it perceived illness, not illness. AMA says perceived illness. And so instead of a 0, how about let's go to 10 or 100 or 1,000? What are those realms like? And this is why so many people are coming to Dr. Morse. So many people are starting to see what Dr. Morse is doing. And I, for one, am dedicated for the rest of my life to carrying his message. And my mission that is similar to all, I have a way of saying what my mission is, but we're all in alignment, we're all doing the same thing. And my mission is to help the world go from sick care to health care by way of nature and love. Because we know that sick care is what's happening out there, right? They're not like helping, We're just like, cancer is not a disease. Cancer is a business. You guys know that, right? So when we know that disease is a business and that you are another customer, and I sometimes will refer to the doctors and the pharmaceuticals as the medical mafia and the pharmaceutical cartel. And when we start to kind of see whoa, that's a, doctors know though, they know what's healthy. They know they're gonna help us. And the truth is that most doctors do not know anything about health. They may know a tidbit about health, but they really don't know much about health. However, they are experts at sickness and disease. I, and a growing number of us, are experts at health. Why? What makes us experts? Because we follow the two master healers, nature and love. It's not just what we're eating, but it's also what's eating us. And most people are being eaten by love's opposite, which is fear. And they're run on fear. And everything is fear-based. And everything is like, we're going to do this so we don't get that. We're going to do this so this doesn't happen here. And it's the same thing. It's like doctors, it's like, we don't want the disease anymore. How do we get rid of the disease? And it's all about disease. And Dr. Morse will say disease don't even exist. Those are just names and categories so that they could put a pill or two or three with each one of them. And it's like, why don't we forget about disease, forget about the names of them and focusing on what is wrong, and let's now change our focus onto what is right and what we can do for health and happiness and vitality. And the way to get that, the path there is going to be by nature and love. It's not going to be by artificial and fear, the opposite. It's going to be nature and love. So, being that everything comes from nature, including chemotherapy, including the cell phones, including the computer you're watching right now, including your cars. There's just many steps removed from nature. So what we want to do is come to fewer steps removed from the original source. For instance, the apple will be better than the apple juice. The apple juice will be better than the pasteurized apple juice that's on the market shelf for 6 months so it can preserve. You see what I'm saying? So we want to go less steps removed from the original source. The best would be picking it right off of a tree and right out of the ground. That would be truly raw. But maybe we'll have a little blender with it or a food processor and go 1 or 2 steps removed from our nature, but we're still in it and it's still working and it still pumps us up. And I am somebody who has reversed age. I am somebody who has tapped into health. I am someone who was just told by a fellow student that they haven't seen me in a while and they go, wow, you have, her words were, you've stepped into your master self. And I'm like, wow, how cool is that? And it's we're all doing that. We all are, and that is my message that I'm bringing to the world of pure energy. I'm Steve Thatcher, the Pure Energy Chef, known as Pure Energy Steve, and I believe that we are all pure energy at the core. And when we remove the obstructions, the physical layers, the mental layers, and the bridge between the two of the emotional layers, then we tap into that which is us, which is pure flipping energy. And I just love that so much. And then so we are pure energy. We eat pure energy. And now we're in this pure energy state. And that's a place I like to call home. We're home. And that's why it's why does it feel so good to hug another person? Or why does it feel so good to have a great conversation and connect with another person? Because I believe we're home. We're connecting. We're all one. Only thing that separates us are our egos. And that's fear-based. So when we come back home to love, we come back home to nature, we see that we are one and there's no separation. And it's it's a whole nother mindset because we know that life is not what is necessarily happening. I mean, that's what it really is, but we're all putting our story on what's happening. We all have our perception and our twist. And the less we could put our story on it, the more we could see of what really is, the more we're going to have that experience of what people have called nirvana. And we're just like, we're in bliss and we're living. I've been asked sometimes when I will like stay over with some friends or whatever, they're like, how do you wake up in the morning with so much energy? How are you so happy? Every flippin' morning is like Christmas morning to me, and every day is my birthday, and every night is Thanksgiving. Or more like Thanksgiving, because we're not eating any turkeys. We're not like doing any harm, we're actually eating good food. And this is how I live my days. And so I am dedicated to this with the struggles that I've had. I've had many struggles that Gary asked the question about at the beginning of the video of like what happened. And it's like, I see the prize, and the prize is pure energy. The prize is getting to become more me at the core. And as I realize this prize, I've had some challenges along the way that have only made me better, stronger, and has given me a level of compassion for others I did not have before. And so to be in a non-judgmental place of others frees me, because I came from a place of being judgmental. I knew what you were going to say before you even said it. I had you summed up in 5 seconds, your whole life story, because I projected my judgments on people. You know, that's and we get to learn that when we come to reality. So all of this comes from raw food, eating natural food in this natural state. And so there is a physical clearing of what is not us. It comes out. There is a mental clearing of the stories that are not us. That comes out. And the bridge between the two of the emotionality. So I am a man who has embraced emotionality. I have cried. I've said to other men I love them. And all of this stuff that like is not, we weren't taught as boys. Because if you tell another man you love him, it might mean that you want to like be in a relationship with him or something. And you're homosexual. And that doesn't mean that. We're talking like brotherly love. And if we're crying and if we're a man, that means like we might be a sissy or like more like a girl. Like it's okay if a girl cries, but boys don't cry, you know. And so we got taught this, and what did that do? Obstructed us. Just another obstruction. It's like if we eat like meat or something like that, it's an obstruction. So obstruction removal is the path to pure energy. And I invite all of you to come and watch more of Gary's videos he's putting out there. He's a light shining out to the world. Come watch some of my videos, Steve Factor, and some of Dr. Morse's videos, and a growing number of us. Come to this community. We love you. We invite you. Pure energy. Namaste, everybody.